went, and so I looked at all the politicians as like people like you. You guys actually were the ones who brought up my self-esteem. Until my senior year, when everything dropped for me. I did good in school, graduated, everything, until it was like, okay, you need to grow up, you need to find a job. So I'm applying to multiple jobs, not hearing back from anybody. So what my friend said was, you know what, you need to go out, you need to go get your money. So I kept on praying, I'm like, what do I do, what do I do, what do I do? And next thing you know, I hear from our Marcus, Mr. Larry Russell. He saved my life. So with that, my first real big check job was at Wilshire Nursing Home as a CNA. And I feel like without Aunt Martha's picking out I want to say I say all kids are good kids. It's just what goes on with their life that makes them how they are. So I said with Aunt Martha's, that program, it's a great program because they pick out the people that nobody noticed. Like most jobs, they go for what they want to look for. Like if you don't have this experience, I don't want you. As opposed to the jobs that he always found, they pull out anybody because they see the willingness to work. And I noticed that maybe you guys could come to schools eventually, like to pick out the ones, because I feel like the schools pick people of ranking to make them look good, and it's not fair whatsoever.
It seems like the secret sauce is support.
Yes.
So anybody else from the audience? We're going to wrap up the week.
I'm a trustee in the Village of Haven because I'm also a school teacher, so I'm hearing a lot of things that the students are saying. A lot of times, one of your first resources are your teachers. Even though a lot of times people go to school counselors, the classroom teachers that you actually see on a day-to-day basis that you might feel uncomfortable talking to, if you speak to them privately and tell them what you have going on, they can be of great assistance. As a trustee of the Village of Haven, because Mr. Davis spoke about it, a lot of times villages, officers like here, state representatives, we don't have the information to be able to give to you. But some of the youth that I have contacted still contact me, they'll ask me, do you all have anything? We have provided 12 jobs to people in our village, but just listening to other people say that they have jobs, I would have been able to speak upon that and to give people other resources that we don't necessarily know about. So I want you all to know, talk to your teachers because they can help, they can. And if you all please give resources to villages, to state representatives, we can get that information out. And those jobs could be filled ASAP.
I'm so proud of you. We are in the information age, right? And yet that seems to be the recurring theme. I want to make sure the youth get a chance to speak. Anyone who wants to. He leans so we get everybody in. I'll stand up for that. I'm not giving up the mic again.
Hello, my name is Claudia. I go to Blue Trail. I go to school with them. And when we're talking about jobs, for me, I applied for some jobs we went to for the Aunt Martha's Fair, and the thing is it didn't really time well. I had other things to do with it, and also in the beginning of the year, she said, pointed out how your teachers can help you. My chemistry teacher, you'll know too. He told us about this STEM career, the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and that's something I'm really interested in because I like to apply whatever I'm learning in school, And you guys talked about how people only care about the straight A students, and I'm an honors student, but the thing is it's hard to manage your grades and to get a job, and that's what I feel like a lot of workplaces want from you. Either you work a lot of hours or you don't. So
you want some flexibility on the part of employers.
Yeah. I want some flexibility, and also you guys talked about transportation. This job that I wanted to apply for, we had applied for by February, and he told us about it in October. I was unable to go to it because it's in Batavia, Illinois, which is, you think about it, it was $15 an hour too, and it was a STEM career. So I'm learning sciences, I'm learning, laboratory things, and getting to experience this with others, with professional scientists. but I'm unable to go because of transportation. And the thing is, like, it's great, like, I would love to get a job at, like, McDonald's and such, but the thing is, like, it's not pertaining to my field that I want to. I want more opportunities for jobs that are in STEM career around here. But that's not available.
And certainly not at your current age. All right, I'm gonna go one more, and then I'm gonna ask our policymakers and our panel up here for a last word of, yes, sir.
I feel, my name is Keenan, I'm 20 years old. I completed the ECS, Business and Career Services program through Ms. Williams. But I feel a lot of young people, they're told that, oh, they don't want to work. But I feel a lot of young people, they feel there's things that they feel they can't do. And I feel that young people aren't taught to, like, they can find more than one route to success. That in school, you're taught, go to college, learn. You want to do your best, you want to get into a good school, find a good job. And a lot of people don't learn that. There's a lot of kids suffering, trying to get through anxiety and depression like myself. When I was in school, I was always struggling, trying to get good grades, trying to make sure I can go to a good college. When I got into college, I found out it wasn't for me. And then I ended up suffering from anxiety and depression, trying to find a job, trying to find something stable. And then I found their program. And it really helped me. And ended up now I have a stable job. And
Congratulations.
yeah, I made a purchase on my second car, so now I focus on trying to make sure that I've set myself up to getting to do what I think I can do, and making sure that I can do what I want to do, and not being afraid or feeling like when I see something like, oh no, there's no way I can do something like that. Like that's a problem in youth. They feel, oh no, that's something out of my league. I didn't go to school for that, or I wasn't taught to do something like that. Or I just don't feel, and I feel like that's what that the Business and Career Services program taught me is I can do other things outside of what they teach you in school.
Oh my God, that's wonderful to hear. I want to be respectful of everyone's time. I want to know, I invited Terrell, see I have the trail, anyway. So I want to make sure everybody has a chance to give a final word. If you could get, one thing that you'd like to see happen that you think is achievable, realizing that we have all this power on this side of the room, people who are in policy and are influential and can make change, tweak what's going on. So Dallas, and try to be brief. What's one thing you'd like to see change?
I want to thank you for helping us ask for help. Hear us. Hear these young people, the young man that stood up and asked for us help. I hope you understand just how brave that was to do that, and I hope he takes advantage of everything that's in this room. Afterwards, what I would like to share in the next 2 days, there are 2 different hiring events, and there's another hiring event in July. Total over 300 jobs that are represented between these events that we're aware of. We just need to get the word out.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no, I heard you.
I'm thinking there's a
I wish they would push the importance of getting jobs as hard as they push the importance of going to school.
You mean going to further school after high school? Okay.
Just better communication between y'all, like the same district or something like that, and never heard each other, and just stuff like that.
Need a young person to work on our social media, probably.
So I want to give a quick announcement that may help some folks in the room. We are recruiting right now for our next cohort for the Opportunity Works program, 18 to 24. That program is going to run out of the village of Dalton. And people can come to the Robbins Community Center on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. That cohort is going to start on July 9th. And we have about 15 slots available. So if there are young people who are out of school, not going to college, and not working, they would be eligible for that program. Again, Opportunity Works.
Basically, I just want to say, I want to see more of, more flexibility for students, because me, myself, I went to school full time, and I worked 4 to 12 as well. I'm a cross-country runner, so I had to take 4 classes. So I would like to see more flexibility within the manufacturing career, because they, I see people in there, and I'm not gonna make this long, but I see people in there, and like I said, I'm 21, so I see workers who are, 35, 40 and over, and we all have the same position, but it's like, okay, that's their only job, you know what I mean? So they don't have a problem with, coming in, and then, some manufacturing companies have mandatory Saturdays and stuff like that, but they don't try to, you tell them you're in school, and, they still don't even try to, help,
Give you like, it's
Yeah.
5 4-hour days or something like that.
It isn't, not even that, it's not even just that, but like I said, they don't even, like I said, they don't make an effort to, like I was saying, for example, I worked at New Farm, and Saturdays I had to go, to mandatory work, but I also had class work, and I was already working every day, and I would express to my manager, I'm in college full time, can I take a Saturday off, and then they don't try to help you at all. So just more flexibility with any, manufacturing, work, college students, have more things to do.
I fully expect you to have your own manufacturing concerns in the near future. Jennifer?
I would ask for funding for training, because as an employer, bringing in employees at all levels, whether they're disabilities or not, and we are a disability inclusive employer, HR doesn't always have the capacity to spend extra time with employees when they need the extra time to say, I don't understand what you're asking, or I need help with whatever it is that you've asked me to do. And as an HR member, I don't have the time for it. I know my production supervisors don't have the extra time to spend with staff members. So funding for training to bring people in, to be able to show people what it is we expect of our employees on the floor and in different areas, so that we can also help grow our employees, because that's something that we believe in as well.
Interesting.
Can I just respond to that really quickly? There is funding available already for that. It's called Incumbent Worker Funding. And if you get with either me or Dallas, we both can connect you to that.
Well, I'm also wondering if not having the employee or the workforce that you need in order to meet the orders that can make you more money might not incentivize some sort of internal process that you don't have time. Maybe that needs to be in another position. I don't know, it might not pay off in the end, but I just think we have to be innovative here. Ma'am.
I think it all just basically starts with communication, making sure that we do have those resources. That's something that we take very seriously. We're always looking for information. We have boards dedicated to that to make sure that we have that. And then just for people to keep in mind that all experiences with work can be to your benefit. You still have to get out there. I understand it might be tolling to work 8 hours on your feet, but maybe that experience is going to remind you what it is that you don't want to do that you had to do for the past year, or things in your field that you have to take that McDonald's job, take it. And you may meet somebody, a customer that comes in. You always have to be open to those opportunities as well. So keep that in mind, an open mind, and communicate.
Mr. Lyon?
I think what I've heard today mostly people who, entities that do job training, help kids prepare for jobs, just have to find a way to get that message out and connect young employees with employers. I think it's a lot of people who are saying jobs are available, but the young people just have no idea where and how to get to them. And we have to figure out a way to create, we have a really good bus and transportation system in Chicago, but a lot of the jobs that really pay decent salary, we just got to figure out a way to get them to that. So communication and transportation is the key.
You said a lot of jobs that pay a decent salary. You didn't finish that. Are in the north and northwest suburbs? Is that what you're going to say? Okay.
Thank you all for, again, the opportunity to be here. One of the challenges that I have, and again, and I apologize if I offend anybody, is where information, how to get out. So what I often hear from agencies is that they have trouble connecting with individuals. Sometimes it's because they don't get out of their offices and go to where the people are, sometimes. And that's important, like the young lady here, you know, if I heard you correctly, now, you talked about working in Dalton, right?
Our next cohort is gonna run out.
It's gonna run out of Dalton.
Yes.
But you indicated that folks have to come to Robbins to apply. You've heard these young people talk transportation issues, so does that mean you're gonna
We
be in
also
Dalton
run-
for a day to help them to apply?
We also run orientations in Dalton as well.
Okay. Well, we didn't know that.
But our last one is gonna be on Monday, and we run
Okay.
orientation every Wednesday, so that's why I said Wednesday.
It's just-
I'm thinking everybody needs a van.
We all have to figure out how to get out of our offices and go into places and share. It's just incumbent upon
Connections.
you know, it's just incumbent upon who we are, and that's what I run into a lot with when money is appropriated here and it gets down to the ground, and then it's not spent.
Well, I also think that there's a hesitancy to spend money on something called marketing, because that seems like a waste. But in fact, the rest of what you're doing may go to waste if people don't know about it or know about each other.
And it's a matter of working on the connection. So again, high schools, you know, if you've got a program for 18-year-olds, you should be in the high schools, talking to the counselors, because again, and not only teachers, but also counselors are a resource for students. So if a counselor doesn't know, you know, they have students that they could.
That's kind of contrary, though, to those in academia who promote academia as your next step. You know, above all else, we would prefer you to go to college.
Well,
We
we are strongly pushing the idea of the balance.
Okay.
Because again, there's a big conversation in Springfield about career readiness and bringing vocational programs back. Now, not that they don't exist, because there is money that flows to certain areas of the state through to do vocational training.
Because you say certain areas of the state, is that?
Well, yeah, it's there's a way to describe it. I'm not going to be able to describe it today, but we find that some high school districts do have
vocational
CTE, it's called CTE, college career technical education, which is that. So like Rich Township has a CTE coordinator. You know, that I've worked with her to try to get her information down in her schools and then share that information out. And then there are some more developed areas like Will County has a county-wide kind of career and technical education thing where they work with schools.
Because they also are closer to the locations of the actual workplaces, right?
That too. And then how we interact with employers. And the one thing that we didn't talk about that we could probably spend an entire day talking about is our youth with backgrounds and how employers interact with that. Because a lot of employers say we take youth with backgrounds, but then when they apply, they actually never get a job.
So true.
You know,
You're right. That is you missed that, and I apologize.
And the last thing that I would say to the young lady here, so I don't know if we've met before, but I've met with your VP, I've been in a room with your president before, and one of the things that I pitched to them was to use an example that the utility companies are doing right now to help train their own workforce. It's called Construct.
And you know what? It's been going on for 7 years, and the first time I heard about it was last week. So there is definitely an information gap.
An information gap. So there's but what it is, it's where all of the utility companies and their contractors all put money in a pot to train their own people. I pitched that to your CEO.
How'd that go?
He heard it, but you know what I'm saying. There's an opportunity because as much as companies say we need funding, I mean many of these companies, you know, your employer are multi-million-dollar companies.
They're making that
so
money.
if they pool their resources, they could create their own training program where they're setting the curriculum specifically for the people that they want to hire, and they could do it like the utility.
Maybe they need a little help, but they have to.
I mentioned it to them, and this was probably a year or so ago. But I mean, there are creative ways to do it where it's, and if you have organizations like this, that's great, and because they get resources and they need to spend them as well. But that was a way in which they have invested in themselves and they're creating their own workforce. And out of the 7 years that they've been doing it, and I don't know the latest statistic, but I would venture to say probably about 80% of the people that they have trained are working in the field, whether they work for the utility companies or their subcontractors. And of that 20%, I think it's not that they couldn't get a job, they just decided to go in other directions. But there's a template out there for the manufacturing community. If they really wanted to train their own workforce, there's a template out there to get it done. There is.
All right, thank you. Mayor Gonzalez.
You know, Chicago Heights in the 60s and 70s, we were known as the city of industry, just manufacturing throughout the city. And all, you know, a lot of it moved away, but it's coming back. And companies are coming back because of our access to the rail, our access to the transportation, the highways. And a lot of these companies, what they ask us is they're asking us for economic incentives for them to move into the community. You know, whether it's property tax incentive, whether it's the municipal tax. And those incentives belong to the community. We, as elected officials, we hand them out, but we always see that those incentives do belong to the community. And what we want in exchange is that workforce that they're going to create is reflective of the community and start closing up that disparity that we see in the south suburbs. And what we would like to do, and this is a great event here, because we don't have the resources sometimes to follow up on those companies. Are you hiring within the community? And that's where we can work with the workforce development groups that are out there and let you know what companies. These are the companies in Harvey, in Chicago Heights, and other towns in south suburbs that we've given tremendous economic incentives. We need that group to help us follow up. Are they really hiring from the community? And I think that would be a big win-win, because again, we hand them out, but those incentives do belong to all of us. And we would like to see that those jobs go to the community, and they're not coming from outside, coming in from Indiana, coming in from far away in the north suburbs. And that's where I think we could really start communicating good with the workforce and telling you, these are the companies that are out there, they're moving in, this is what we've given them. Can you help us to make sure that they live up to their end of the agreement in hiring within the community?
As well as help them to prepare the workforce from the community. Yes, that's a great idea. Again, people connecting to the resources. Helen?
So thanks everyone for coming here. I think this is the third or fourth of these series that we've been working with at different locations. And in each one, we get a lot of young people, either high school students or out of school, who come and they're interested. They want to know. They want to work. They want to find careers that are really going to be satisfying to them and can help them, you know, live a good life. So I appreciate the interest that all of you have in working. And you know, in a lot of things, young people listen to their peers, not so much, you know, the adults. So what I'd say to you all is that you're hearing that there are people and organizations and employers who are out there who want you. So don't give up, and then please tell your friends what you've heard. Encourage them to come to the next one. Encourage them to get involved with Chicago Southland or Washington Heights Workforce Center. These are folks who really want to help you. And to the young man who just started at McDonald's, everything you're feeling, other people have felt. Everyone on this panel has had a time where they thought they totally messed up at work, or that, why aren't I getting this? Or and the fact that you're recognizing that and you want to improve and you want to understand says so much about you and your willingness and your drive. And so don't give up. You're going to do great. Okay?
Okay, that's right. Takeaway, it's clear for me, but we'll get back in terms of what you're taking away from this that you might be able to apply to what you do. Yes.
Yes. First of all, I want to thank all of the young people for opening up and sharing your stories. That is very helpful to us to know what you're feeling, and that will help us to figure out what we can do to help you. Again, to the young man who's working at McDonald's, not to just focus on you.
Y'all stop picking on him, please.
Not picking on you, just words of encouragement, as others have said. And I'll have to tell you my granddaughter's experience, who also just started working at Subway. She doesn't have a car. It's a little distance from home, and you're good about walking there. But she
won't be good in December.
I'm not in December, but she uses Uber. And so her parents told her, no, you can't have a car yet, You have to show us, some motivation before we can consider giving you a car. But you can take Uber. You just have to dedicate 2 hours of your day to pay for your fare to and from work. Now, Uber requires a credit card, but a debit card works. So she has like a $50 checking account that gives her a credit card. And so that's how she gets back and forth to work. So just in December, you might have to resort to that. I also want to wear another hat, and I have to digress for a moment. I am a member of the League of Women Voters, and League of Women Voters is a totally nonpartisan organization. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because before you young people leave, please, I have to ask you to please, if you haven't already done so, to register and vote. You're not just voting for president. You're voting for legislators such as these up here. You have the opportunity to vote for local officials. These are the people who can help you to get the jobs that you're seeking and put legislation in place to get the funding that's needed for job training. So I just want you to understand how important it is for you to register and vote. And I know a lot of millennials were very disillusioned that they felt that their vote didn't count in the last presidential election, but your vote is very important, and it doesn't just elect presidents, it elects other elected officials as well.
We appreciate your respect in stopping from leaving. You may have someplace you have to be. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. So the Village of Hazel Crest is feeling the same struggle that all of you are feeling for our youth, trying to get employment for our youth. We have a couple of programs that we operate. One of them is called the President's Bridge Program. That's the Village President's Bridge Program that helps youth to expose them to different organizations and companies and to show them what's available to them and how to get into these learn these various skill sets. So it's for youth, and it only runs during the summer month, and we get funding sometimes from the state. So this year we had like 30 kids in our program. And
but based on what you've heard here today,
yes.
what would you like, what do you see as an opportunity for something that you can take away from this that applies to your work in closing this gap?
This has been a learning experience for me, I must admit. I did not know about some of these programs that are available. We are hosting a job fair on August 25th in the Village of Hazel Crest. And this is in collaboration with the organization called Cisco. It's the Construction Industry Services Corporation. And it is strictly for skilled labor in construction trades. So it is not just a job program, but a training program. So anyone who is interested in learning and getting into the skilled labor field, should come to this job fair. So that's an invitation again, August 15th from 2 to 6 p.m. at the Village of Hazel Crest, skilled labor job fair. August 15th? August 15th. I'm sorry, Wednesday, August 15th.
See, this is the worst way to get information, is it not? Okay, so we need a hub. We need some place that you can go to online where everybody's information, your cohort opening, the 2 job fairs you talked about, the one you're talking about. So that's my takeaway. Not that anybody asked, but I really appreciate everyone. I appreciate your time. Sorry we've gone a little bit over. We could probably go another 2 or 3 hours, but this just shows the interest. There is an opportunity here. There is an opportunity. And I try to refrain from giving young people advice. All I can tell you is from my experience, I want to be a news anchor.
Would you like to know how you can help?
How can I help you?
Okay, you're not going to like this.
Yes, no, how do you mean? I like it.
So a lot of the time, so the city of Chicago is able to solicit its businesses for dollars to do programs for you, but you have to live in the city of Chicago. What we have seen out here, particularly in the south suburbs, is an influx of families for various reasons leaving the city and coming here, but none of those resources follow them.
Okay.
So
So how can I help you again? Because am I should I run for mayor? What should I do here?
I won't put you in that.
No, don't put me in that one, right?
But I think sometimes the city is just oblivious to the fact of the impact that they have on suburban communities. And we try to bring that forward, so just to the extent in which you have some platform within the city or CPD, if you will, but, you know, we struggle with the.
I'm thinking that's something that from a statewide perspective, that should be addressed. And I think that, the trends of the movements of people, and just as the trends of the movement of industry should also be held accountable.
And we do have, particularly the Black Caucus, we do have those conversations with the city of Chicago. I'm just simply saying, having somebody who now is in the city of Chicago, at least coming out here to hear the concerns.
You know, I used to live in Olympia Fields, right? So it's not like I come out here to some foreign territory. You didn't know that. That's right.
You understand it better than most, man. So just having some insight saying, hey, you don't forget about those birds.
Don't forget about those birds. We don't forget about those birds. Never do. So for some closing remarks, I'm going to invite Jack West.
He's gone.
You like black people, you spell your name any way you want. And I want to thank you for the vision to put some data behind what we know is in our hearts, what we know in our hearts is happening. It's always nice, especially for some people who have to see it from an adding machine perspective. So, and thank you for having me. Thank you.
Very briefly, I just want to thank all the people from Aunt Martha's for your work. Everyone who's come here in this panel and that panel. It's important to have this kind of discussion and figure out, as you mentioned, what are the takeaways, where do we go from here. The first job I had was a paper boy. I didn't have to collect money, but I had to deliver 50 papers. And that gave me a lot of confidence and gave me a lot of money. And back then, way back in the 50s, it was $3.50 a week. We could go out and buy our hot dogs and our pop. But a job gives you dignity. It gives you something that you have on your own. You want to take a dignity and the pride in doing the job well and also making money. There are too many people, young people in this area, and we showed in the report in your folders, who are in areas of the western, predominantly white rural areas, and southern, predominantly white rural areas, along with many young black and Latino youth here and in the suburbs and the city who don't have those opportunities. It's very interesting when Robin mentioned about one of her first jobs at CETA, and Will, one of your first jobs at CETA. Chuy Garcia says one of the first, his first job was CETA. That was a national program that employed over 600,000 low-income youth. Unfortunately, ended in 2001. What we need is not only a program like that gives people in their neighborhoods where there aren't those first jobs, the chance to work with a community group that can roll with a kid who's 16 and then 17, 18, 19, and they get that kind of experience, and that's invaluable. We need state funding and hopefully, God willing, at some point national funding, but we definitely need state funding. The Black and Latino Caucus had pushed and had $20 million of summer youth employment until 2015-16 when there was no state budget. We need some first jobs for youth that gives them the confidence, gives you guys some money and confidence, and you want to get in the real world, and you want to achieve something on your own, and you can do that in school, but you can also do that in a job. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming. The State Task Force was going to have another hearing in Peoria, another one probably in Rockford. We've got a couple other hearings. It's important for legislators and elected officials to come to hear these stories, and we want to really build a movement and a campaign that not this year, but next year there be significant funding for youth who don't have those connections through family, aunts and uncles for those first and second and third jobs. Again, thanks a lot for everybody for coming.